So I owe the community a little bit of an apology. And while it was well intentioned, I think that when we were recording the eBay Power Hour early last year at this time, and even before that, Josh Galt and I, we were really hyper focused on trying to crack and break the algorithm and, you know, find a way to beat the system, right? And I think what we've done is we found out that you really can't beat the system. And then in talking with Grumpy John, a friend of ours through Beard's channel, you got to learn to accept you're good enough. And watching Primo Chemo's live today, um, a very well respected YouTube reseller that knows his stuff was on there and posted something that got me to really thinking, really thinking. It takes good people to say stuff to really make you think. And he said this gig is not that complicated. People overthink this business. Write stuff, list, repeat. And it could not be any further from the truth. If you buy the right stuff to sell and just put together a mediocre listing, you're going to do better than the people who just buy average or crappy things to sell and take forever to make sure their listings are perfect. And I think a lot of times we get stuck in the weeds. We focus on how to make the perfect listing instead of trying to figure out, and I'll steal this from Grumpy John, what is your good enough? What is your good enough? Is it better to list, and let's say you have two of the same item, is it better to spend 10 minutes on that listing to make sure it's perfect, or 5 minutes to make sure that it's just good enough? Now, that's not to say you should neglect the things that we talk about. Now, I did a video recently where, we're just talking about make sure you're just doing the basic things. Make sure you're just doing the basics. Now, the listing quality report, if you happen to get it, will tell you what eBay is looking for. But if you're fortunate enough to have the listing quality report, you'll be able to see sort of what eBay is expecting of you. And in many cases, you're just not putting enough photos in your listings. But what's the point of it all? Well, what's the point of all, of these people watching these videos? And I firmly believe that people are watching these videos because they want better results on eBay. And another person was on my Discord, said something to the effect of eBay is not going to last. They're run horribly, and people can't make consistent sales. Something to that. And my response was, I'm going to continue selling on eBay because that's where the traffic is. And it's really all about traffic. That's why my main platform is eBay. But then it got me to thinking, if my good enough combined with eBay's traffic, if my good enough gets me high enough in rank, then there's nothing more I can do. I mean, going back and worrying about this aspect of my listing and that aspect of the listing, if I'm already ranked, if a buyer's already clicking into my item and they're still not buying it, there could be a lot of factors involved. I mean, that's provided you have good pictures, which we do. There's not a whole lot more you can do. You just have to be patient with it. And I think that our goal as sellers should not be, how many sales can I make? Because you have no control over that. What you do have control over is A, what you buy, and B, where you end up in ranking, search ranking, where you end up. Now, we try to crack and break the algorithm to make sure our item was the top ranked item, but that doesn't always happen because there's all kinds of things baked into the algorithm that we don't know, and we certainly will never know. This is eBay's proprietary stuff. So that's why you haven't heard me talk about the algorithm a whole lot in 2024, because I kind of gave up trying to figure it out. I just wanted to make the best listings I can as compared to my competition. So it really boils down to two things: what you're buying, and I'm not going to ever stop stressing that. The quality of item that you're buying, high demand versus low demand, is essential. But once you have that item and you have competition, and you're basically in competition to win the next buyer for that item, how do you get your item ranked as high as possible? But at the same time, if you're already there, why are you messing around with trying to add more photos, or adding, keywords, that more keywords than you already have, or tweaking your price even more when you're maybe already competitive and you're already up there in ranking? So if your prices are competitive, which I think a lot of people need to work on, your price is already competitive and you're up there in the upper part of page one, which is what everyone should strive for, then there's nothing more than you can do, and you have to be okay with that. And obsessing over it, and a lot of times I'll get accused of obsessing over it, but it's more about bringing content to people. Because here's the thing: many of you guys out there right now are only tuning in because, like, maybe it's not this beautiful face you want to see every day, but you're trying to get information that's going to help you increase your sales. But I think sometimes if you overcomplicate things, it can cause you to be unproductive, or not as productive as you could be if you just accepted you're good enough. And if you accept that this business, even though we say flipping ain't easy, this business is simply that. It is fairly easy and straightforward, but it starts at step one. And so many people just don't want to acknowledge that. Step one is what you're buying to resell. And I think for many, many people, based on the stores that I've seen, you wonder, why did you buy that to resell? Or maybe they just had it lying around the house, and that's fine. But you see a store loaded with similar types of things, so it's obvious that they're out looking for that type of item. And then they're upset because they're not getting sales, without really a knowledge of, is it that item even selling for many people as it is? You look at the 90-day solds, you might see one or two in 90 days. Well, that's, if you have 10 people trying to sell the similar item, it's going to be a while before you sell that item, and you shouldn't expect to get results. And it's not eBay's fault, guys. eBay is responsible to give us traffic, but I'm willing to bet that you go into your reports right now, you're going to see quite a bit of impressions. And you can think what you want about impressions and or page views to your store and your listings that's in the store, and that's eBay's job. They've done their job. Okay, now you may not have views on a particular item, but what does that tell you about the item? I think a lot of us are in denial about step one, about the item. And then once we get that item, do the best you can. I think photos are essential, but I've seen people sell well with only two or three. And when I talk about the listing quality report on my channel, it's more of, you know, if you're not up on page one, if you're not in the higher part of page one, you got work still left to do. And maybe your listing isn't good enough. So you got to find what that good enough is. And that doesn't mean it has to be perfect. And I've been, like I said, I apologize at the onset of this video because I've been very much guilty of just trying to be perfect. And I need to apologize to myself and my business because it's kind of held me back. It's kind of allowed me to really be unproductive, or as not as productive as I could have been. So I'm really doing this because, hey, you know what? I want to get more content out there, but I want content out there that makes a difference. And I really think this message will make a difference to some people. And my challenge to you guys is to really take a deep look at your store. Take an hour, pick 1 hour to start this year. Go over your store. Now, for many of you, that's just a fraction of your items. I get it. You're not going to be able to go through your entire store, but go through as much as you can within that hour and evaluate what you have for sale, and check out the 90-day solds. Even check Terapeak, which I'm going to do a video. I keep talking about it, but I'm going to do a video here pretty soon. But evaluate how hot or in demand your item is. And I'm willing to bet that step one, buying your items to resell, what are you buying? I'm willing to bet that for many of us, that can improve. And once you get that down, then you don't have to obsess over perfect listings, because even a perfect listing on an item that has no demand is not going to sell, guys. And so it's a realization I think we all need to come to. And the idea, and this even is for me as well, I think a lot of us feel like our items are actually better or in more demand than they actually are. We have to have an honest conversation with ourselves about what we're selling and improve on that part of it, and things will fall into place. And I mean, you guys can attack me in the comments down below if you want, but if you look at some of these stores, look at some of the stores that we review on the members only. If you're a member, please join us today at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Take a look at some of these stores that we review. They have horrible feedback, just negative upon negative. They have subpar photos, and for whatever reason, they're making sale after sale after sale. And it's all boils down and comes back to one thing: they're selling great stuff, good stuff, above average stuff. And that's what you should be striving for. As cute as something may look, or as something might appeal to you, it doesn't necessarily mean there's demand on that item. And so that's the message I'm trying to ring to you guys as we get closer to yard sale season. For many of you guys, it should be about being more selective and getting better stuff in your store. And or if you are selling the lower quality stuff like we're selling on our secondary store, it's about just accepting the fact that you're not going to get as many sales as the next guy because you're just listing subpar stuff. And I'm accepting that on my second store, and I'm okay with it. Things that we're not selling on the main, or we don't think is good enough for the main store, goes to the secondary store. We put it up, and when it sells, and we're not going to lose sleep over it. So that's my message to you guys today. If you at least appreciated the message, you don't have to like it, but just to kind of appreciate where I'm coming from, if you're open-minded, well, hit the like button. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you appreciate the content. And we'll see you guys today, for those of you who are members, on the members live today. And otherwise, we'll talk to you guys very soon. Take care.